I've said this before. You can go back and look. One of the first episodes, probably the first episode I did of the Filthy Heathens podcast, was me saying that the front runner for the Republican nomination in 2024 is Ron DeSantis. He's the governor of Florida, and there's just so much winning going on here. I mean, he is doing everything. I mean, he has not made one bad move, and I'm just hoping that trend continues because he's doing everything right. I can't think of any other governor or any other, big name in politics over the last 20 years that has been almost flawless across the board. I can remember back in, right after Obama got elected, they had Bobby Jindal. He was the governor of Louisiana. He's a big rising star. He took over the state after Hurricane Katrina, was making a lot of reforms, was doing a lot of good things. And he gave the reply speech to Barack Obama's first address to Congress. And it was not good. I mean, if you read a transcript of that speech, it was really good. But when you watch him give the speech, it wasn't good. And that just basically shut down him as a potential candidate for president. It just wasn't going to work out for him. Same thing, Marco Rubio. He gave a bad address to a bad rebuttal to Obama. And, he had to take a drink of water in the middle of it. And it was just like, dude, what are you doing? And to me, that kind of soured me on him as well. You had these young, up-and-coming Republicans that were minority candidates as well. They checked a lot of boxes, and they shot themselves in the foot. Ron DeSantis has not really done any of that. He's actually done almost everything right. And here's the thing, I can't think of anything wrong that he's done yet. Anything that's been so either politically wrong, made the wrong decision, or has done something that makes him look stupid. Everything he does is just, it has been largely, I don't want to say perfect because no one's perfect, but it's almost flawless. So let's start with this. He signs the parental notification bill. The whole don't say gay bill is so stupid. That's not even in the bill. But basically all this bill did was ban teachers from talking about sex to third graders and younger. So for anybody outside the US, third grade here is 9 and 10-year-olds. Like, I think I turned 9 years old in third grade. So 9-year-olds. So basically, you're not supposed to talk about sex with 9-year-olds or younger in the classroom. So, and it doesn't specify whether or not you're supposed to talk about heterosexual sex, homosexual sex, any kind of sex. It just says you can't talk about sex with 9-year-olds. Apparently, that pissed off a lot of Democrats. Now, they said that this is an attack on the LGBT community. However, my entire life, from the time, for as long as I can remember, discussing gay rights issues in school or just in general public discourse, I cannot remember a time, or I cannot think of a time when I was always told that gay rights will not, there's no grooming involved in gay rights. This is not you had these really hardcore conservatives, really Christian conservatives worried that gay people were going to recruit little kids to being gay. Well, I was told that for 2 decades at least, that wasn't going to happen. And this bill, all that does is says, hey, that's not going to happen. We're not letting that happen. And apparently now, talking to sex with 5 and 6-year-olds, that's a gay rights issue. I don't get that at all. So I don't know why Democrats are trying to make this an issue where teachers having private conversations about sex with kindergartners is a gay rights issue. That that seems very homophobic in and of itself. So I don't think gay people actively want to groom children, and I don't think most gay teachers, gay elementary school teachers, want to groom children. So I don't know why the Democrats are playing it that way, but they're trying to make it about hating gay people when it's about not sexualizing children. So, and remember, the reason why they cut it off at 3rd grade is that in 4th grade, there are going to be some kids that are going to be going through some changes that, you know, the teachers might want to address with those kids. Say, hey, this is normal. Don't worry about it. Let me talk to your parents about it so that they know what's going on. There's nothing wrong with that. But before that, you shouldn't be having these conversations, especially in private. So what I've been telling people, anytime someone comes out and says they're against this bill that Governor DeSantis signed in their state, just ask them, why do you think it's appropriate for a state employee, an elementary school teacher, to have a private conversation about anal sex with a 6-year-old and tell them to keep it secret from their parents? That's all this bill does. It bans that kind of conversation. So there's one, and it's a huge win. Even 60% of I believe 60% of Democrats in the state of Florida are in favor of this bill. So this is a huge win for Ron DeSantis. And again, this seemed just like common sense, and the Democrats made it out to be this big thing that it wasn't. So now this bill actually got talked about by the CEO of Disney. So there was a big uproar. LGBT people that work for Disney at Disney World and in Florida in general, they came out and made a big fuss about it, and the Disney CEO caved to them, and Disney in general caved to them. And then we had leaked footage come out where executives at Disney were saying, no, we're actively trying to put queer ideology into Disney programming for kids. So we found out about all this stuff, and so DeSantis said, oh, well, it's one thing if Disney decides, hey, we're going to lobby the state because we want lower taxes, or we want certain regulations to be different so that we can benefit from that. That's one thing. When you're working in your own interest, that makes sense. Hey, Disney wants to film a movie in Florida. We'd like to have like a lower taxes on doing business in your state. Okay, that's fine. You're trying to help your business out. We get it. But now you're going in and saying that, the state can't enforce certain educational laws and provide parents with rights about how their kids are educated in their state, but you want special privileges from the state. Well, DeSantis said, okay, well, let's take a look at how Disney's status works in the state of Florida. So what did he do? He signed a bill into law that strips Disney of all special powers. Now, I was just at Disney World, and yes, I know I could have boycotted Disney and not gone on that trip. The problem is that, first of all, several aspects of that trip were non-refundable. The trip was mostly for my mom and my mother-in-law's birthday. That was what they wanted for their birthday present, for the most part. And I'm not going to, since a lot of the trip was non-refundable, I'm not going to give thousands of dollars to Disney and then not take advantage of their services. All this was booked months and months ago before I thought Disney was going to come out and support grooming children. But, it is what it is. But I just got back from there, and it is run spectacularly. There is an anarchist streak in me that kind of likes the idea of a corporation, being its own little government, having its own little its own little government, running its own thing within the state, and kind of a little bit free from certain state laws and regulations. I kind of like that. However, they went back and checked, and they decided, okay, fine. You want to play that game? Fine. We'll just go ahead and strip you of all the rights you have. So the Reedy Creek Improvement Act was signed back in 1967. So over 50 years, Disney has had special privileges in the state. Let's put it this way. Their privileges are so awesome. Disney could technically build a nuclear power plant at Disney World if they wanted to. Now, I'm sure the federal government would get involved at that point. But if Disney wanted to, I've heard that they could go ahead and build a nuclear power plant. Which, again, I mean, that's awesome if you can get that. So I'm not faulting Disney at all for that. But it went ahead and said, okay, we're going to eliminate. So this bill eliminates the Reedy Creek Improvement District, which exempts Disney from numerous regulations and taxes and fees, and reportedly saves the company tens of millions of dollars per year. So at least I know that more of my money that I spent at Disney World is going to go to a state and a government that is actually serving their people, unlike my state of California, which is bullshit. So this has been great. It basically put Disney on the defensive. Normally, Disney is kind of the one that can bow up and just, and push the government, officials around. Ron DeSantis told Disney to fuck off, and it's really a breath of fresh air when you see a politician really tell, when somebody on my side is finally willing to fight. It is a breath of fresh air. And I like seeing this from Governor DeSantis. Also, he blocks CRT in school, critical race theory. He even blocked some math books that were trying to put CRT into the math curriculum. And you might be wondering, how do you put CRT in the math curriculum? How are you talking about race when it comes to math? Math is 1 + 1 = 2. Well, I can give you an example. There was a word problem that I saw online that said Billy is white and he has $500. Bobby is black and he has $250. How much more money did Billy make because he was white? It was worded basically like that. That's how you get critical race theory into the math curriculum. So he's gone ahead and rejected that from the schools. And it's great that you have a governor that is not willing to allow the classrooms in his state to teach kids to hate their country and to hate each other. Especially when it comes to things that we should be over with by now. Racial issues should not be a thing anymore. And the more they keep getting propped up and not just talked about, but like talked about as in we should be at a struggle with each other, that's just wrong. So we should not be hating each other. We should not be hating our country. We can hate certain aspects of our country and how our public officials act, but we live in the greatest country in the world. And we should be proud of that. So I'm ecstatic with how DeSantis has been handling himself, especially the last couple weeks where he's really, gone on the offensive against all this woke bullshit. And I mean, it's been fantastic to watch. I mean, I just got one thing to say. It's like, just stop it, man. My penis can get only so erect. For so long. Jeez, my poor wife. She's going to be exhausted. Anyway.